get me back to work administrator.
Okay.
Somebody logs in with that account type, and we can change this stuff if you want. If you want to make it cleaner, you can fix it however you want to do it.
Yeah, we'll clean it up and, of course, document everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it really is.
Yeah.
Really that. So, anyway, if somebody were to log in with that account, then they'd log into the administrative section. So, that's how it works. Parent ID. I think that maps to an employer account. Let me see. Here's the employer account. Parent ID 229. Yeah, I mean that field does not need to be in here. Because account ID will map you to user account, which then maps you to the employer ID. So I can't figure out a need for this parent ID. I think I don't think it makes sense at all.
Okay.
Enabled. This is going to be, whether I think 2 stands for. We should actually have a status field in here. I don't know. Account status. There should be an account status field somewhere. Table. I guess there's not. I guess it's not mapping anything. I guess it's just 1 and 2. But anyway, 1 stands for it works. 2 stands for it's either disabled or it's not yet activated, and that's when we kind of need differences. Whether it's either not activated or disabled.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think not enabled would be 0. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, email verified. So maybe this is where you can determine if the email has been verified. So maybe okay. So they have separated that. So that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And the email verified date. So okay. So and it's really we're not going to be able to walk through this whole thing today. But give you the overview. You have the main account table, and then each account's going to map to either an applicant or an employer. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, it'll map to an administrative account as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me get into applicants real quick. You have your main applicant account, or account table. Excuse me. So this is going to have a lot of your data. This is going to look very similar. I think you were working with all these tables back when you were doing it. Mm-hmm. None of this has really changed too much at all. This is just a lot of the information about the applicant. You're going to go into the account details. The applicant ID is going to map you to all these other fields. So then you go to the applicant details field, and this is going to give you a bunch more stuff about the applicant. And then you have just all your other stuff. You have your applicant's availability, education, and industries, work history, past questions. All that stuff's the same. Okay? Now, background check status, master and mapping. We'll just worry about that stuff later once we get the background check stuff going and start entering it into Get Me Back to Work. Mm-hmm. We still got a ways to go, so I wouldn't worry too much about the background check status tables right now.
Okay.
All right. Applicant message. I don't think it's ever gets used, honestly. I think the other messages and notifications are in other tables. So you got your military. We'll work out the protocol stuff in a little bit. Applicant status. Master. Let's check this out. Okay, so you remember, let me open up. Let me log in as an employee. So you remember how we were talking the other day about the status?
Yes.
Status stuff is tied in with the comments, also tied in with the hidden stuff, okay? So in the database, this is kind of how they're handling all this. So you have the master table, which is giving you the different statuses that are available. Hidden is included in one. That needs to be pulled out probably. Status mapping is going to be this is somehow all these all kinds of different fields here. But basically, it's telling you what status is applied to which applicant according to each employer user. That field doesn't, employer ID doesn't need to be here if you have employer user. You know that field. So anyway, and then I think if they made a comment, then that comment would be there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the notes table as well. And so that's going to tie, okay, so I guess the comment table field in the other table wasn't used because it is here. So anytime they make notes, it automatically ties to a status for there. So that's one thing we need to separate out.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to tie a comment or a note about an applicant to a status.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's how they're doing the whole status and notes. Is they're tying them all together in this crazy table. It's something they came up with.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's that. The profile steps. Okay, so in the I'm gonna log out. I'm gonna log in as an applicant. So here's our accordion page.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you have the way this thing works is as they go through and they click this for a new applicant to come in here, they have to. Right now, we have these tabs enabled. Okay, in production, the tabs are disabled until they've already completed everything before that.
Yes.
It forces them to finish everything in order. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a flag we have in the web.config file in order to, since this is demo, we don't want to force Shannon to have to go through all validation just to show the sections.
Mm-hmm.
So we disabled that flag, just in the config file. So, but basically what happens when you hit each of these continue buttons, it's going to mark that section as complete.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if they don't finish, and they just close it, and then they log back in, it will automatically know how far they've finished, and it will automatically open the section that they were last on.
Okay.
They can continue.
And does it send them like periodic emails saying, how you get emails saying we miss you or you?
It's supposed to. That is in the notification service project that I was talking about.
Okay.
And we don't know if it works yet. I know they were working on that last week or the week before, and so we don't know if it works yet. It's in the specs, and it needs to do that, but I don't know if that's working yet.
Okay.
So.
Did you send me the updated specs?
Not yet. I'm going to throw all that stuff in the Dropbox once I guess we have it in there now. So once we get done here, I'll throw that stuff in Dropbox.
Okay.
So the way it's tracking these profile steps is in these two tables. Okay, so let me see. I think the status table. Well, let me look at this. Let me go to the other one first. Profile steps table. This just lays out the steps. Just a reference table, and it's going to lay out what step is which. So you have these 7 steps, and those correspond directly with the tabs or the accordions on that form. Then you go to this table, the profile step status, and it associates. And I don't think it's the best way of doing it. But that's the way it's done. So basically what it does is it associates an applicant with each step, and it says whether or not the step is completed or not.
Okay.
I would assume they would just have one field in there and say, okay, they've completed 3 steps 6 or something like that. But they created each row for each step and said whether it's completed or not. So